So the last couple of tools that we have up here, right? By default, you want the pointer, right? Because the pointer allows you to pretty much move your point wherever. So, because if I have the pen up, and I want to click on something, notice how it's just leaving a mark, right? Because the pen tool right now has been selected, and it's kind of showing that tool. Right? So, I can access the pen tools. So if I was really ambitious, if I didn't have the Smartboard and I just had a regular projector in my laptop, what I could do is utilize the pen tool and my mouse. So depending on how courageous you are, I could click the pen, select the pen. So let's say I'm going to select the blue pen. And again, yours will be a little bit different. You're going to have another bar that's going to pop up here. So notice now my cursor is a pen. So I could use now my trackpad as my pen tool and write that way. Smart does sell tablets that you can kind of connect. So if you didn't have a Smartboard, you can buy the Smart tablet, let's say, that you connect to your laptop and utilize that and write on that to annotate. So it looks that's similar to this, where this is now my mouse, but this is easier to control as a mouse as opposed to that. This literally looks like a pen, right? So I can kind of write on it. But again, you've got to get accustomed to trying to find where the part of the screen is. So it is a little bit of a learning curve to kind of, master the control of this. Because typically, if you were using like an iPad, some kind of other tablet computer, right, you would be seeing your screen on here, as opposed to trying to envision where on your screen you actually want to be controlling. So, one of the features now when I'm writing, right, one of the things I tell teachers is don't be scared with all the tools that are in Smartboard. What I always try to tell teachers is just use it as a glorified blackboard, really, as a starting point. Just get accustomed to plugging it in, get accustomed to displaying your work, right? You put up a web page, hit that transparent, and just, do your notes that way. So, put up a question and have students write it. So you don't have to really razzle-dazzle and get really cool animations on there, cool features. Just write on it. And so here it is. I've written. And what I'm going to do is once I've selected my cursor, my pointer, I can actually select the words that I've written. So here is a word that I've written, and I use the trackpad on my computer to write that. I could have used a pen. But one of the things, once I click on something I have written, notice this box that it kind of creates. And there are a couple of things that we know from the box here. This part, that part here from it allows me to drag my what I've written. So if a student wrote rather small, let's see what they actually wrote. So you can make it bigger. Up at the top here, the green pointer here, this green circle, allows me to rotate my word, right, in whatever order, right? If I was, let's say, wanting to plot the y-axis, so I could just write it normally, and then, rotate it, and then move it along, let's say, the y-axis without having to try to write off the side. The next feature that I do want to show is you're going to see this little drop-down menu. And anytime you see that, right, so you see that here right now, but you also see that drop-down menu here with the slides. So always don't be scared to press anything that you see, right, and see what does it do. Right? Like one of the features here, like this arrow here, I'll tell teachers, press it. What does it do? Like, oh, and then they panic. Oh, what did I do? Did I break? You're not going to break it. Like, not unless you're going to grab your laptop and throw it across the room, will you be breaking it. And the same thing goes with the Smartboard. Not unless you're going to throw it against the wall, pierce it, will you be breaking it. So don't be scared to play around with the tools and find out what features do. Again, don't be doing it with stuff that you don't want. Save it, but if you're ever doing something and you don't want it after, when you click on to close it, just don't save it. Don't have it overwrite what you've done all the work for. So don't be scared to try and find out what it does. So, with the drop-down menu, actually, let me get rid of this arrow here. So, I'm going to select the word hello that I wrote, and click on the drop-down menu, and let's find out what kind of features are available behind that drop-down menu. And one of the things I always point out is look at the very first one. It recognizes the word. So what I could do is, instead of having the font that I've written, I click on recognize hello, and it just converted it into actual font. Now the only thing is, I can't erase it because now it's text font. Handwritten fonts, right, can be erased with the eraser. Anything that's turned into a font, or if you've typed font, because I could type it, I could click on the font and start typing something, and then it will be that way. So I have one way I can write out everything and then convert them all individually, let's say, into text, or I can start typing away on my computer, let's say. But if I want, I can just undo it, and it goes back to turning it into the font. Yeah.
So say if I kept on writing down text and then hit recognize, regardless of how bad my chicken scratch is, and it'll turn it into an actual text.
It'll turn, yeah.
And I want to get rid of it. Would I have to conventionally get rid of it by using the delete key on the?
Well, what I could do is once I've selected it, I can actually, in the drop-down menu, I have that delete feature here, right. Delete or even cut, and it'll do both. Yeah. Okay. It'll do both. Other features within here that I do want to show, I have the ability to clone a tool. So cloning kind of makes it an exact copy of it. Right. One of the tools that I do want to point out, and this can be great if you're doing, let's say, algebra tiles using the Smartboard, or I don't know, making change. Let's say, so you create, you get the coins out, and you have bring a student up and go, okay, I want you to make $1.23. Bring another student up, I want you to make $1.23 a different way than the other student did. Right? So what you have the ability to do is use this thing called the infinite cloner. And watch what happens when I click on infinite cloner. Nothing really happens to it, but watch when I click on the word hello and I drag it. It's infinitely cloning that word. So again, now, right, when we're talking about making change, right, I could have, let's say, the 1 cent coin here, and decide with this object to infinite clone it. And now this is a simple way. I'm going to show you actually where to find the actual images of the coin. You wouldn't do it, you wouldn't draw it, but I wanted to kind of just quickly show you how it's done. And now notice the one that you can erase is the one that's been infinitely cloned. So now how do you get rid of something that's been infinitely cloned? When you click on it, notice the icon, infinity symbol, infinite clone. You click on it, it's on infinite clone. If I click on it again, it gets rid of it. So now it's no longer, now it's just the one object. Other features I have, I've got a locking tool. I've got a grouping tool. The grouping tool is great if you want to create something like what we call pull tabs. Right? So what I would do is, I might create a pull tab. Let me ignore the fact that I'm going into the gallery here. there's so many things here. If you ever get a chance to kind of play around with it, like find stuff. Okay, you know what? Okay, so here we have a pull tab. So what I can do is I can actually either put my text in here. I could put my text in here, or what I could do is I could throw in let's say a question here. 2x is equal to 8. And what I do here is I've got this question, but I kind of want to keep it secretive to my group of students. So what I do is I'm going to what it allows me to do is if I select this, so if I select more than one object, so what I do is I click on one part and then I just kind of create an imaginary box over it. And notice how it allows me to create two to connect them somehow. And now I have the ability to control both when I move them. So what I could do is pick one, hold the shift key down, press another one. And this way I'm allowed to create multiple tools. So what I'm going to do now is I have the ability to utilize the features that are here. It's not going to recognize now the font, the text, because it's kind of trying to compare an image with text. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to group those two images together. So I don't have to try to find both of them. If I group it, now notice how it's just created one box around all the objects. So now when I'm moving it, it's moving all that. So what I could do is kind of have my concept that I want to teach, right? And then what I'm going to do is, okay, now I'm going to pull out my sample problem. Okay, now we're going to work on this one. Right, we're going to work on this one, let's say. So you kind of have your random questions that we're going to do, let's say, later. You know, kind of like in PowerPoint, how you have text just appearing. Right now, why not? We're not going to have it. Now we're going to be the ones who kind of control. Okay, we're going to do this question. Put that question back. Let's get the next one. And you could create pull tabs pretty much in the gallery. There are a bunch of different pull tabs. You've got ones here like this where you can kind of be dragging the text downwards, or if I wanted to invert that this way and use that. And that's the one actually I should have used instead. Right? So what I'm going to do is actually, but now I've got, you see this? I don't want that together. What do I do? Again, let's find out what we can do. What do you think we can do? We grouped it, put them together. Oh, we didn't lock them. We actually grouped them. We grouped them. So what we just do? Ungroup it. Right, so now if I want, I can get rid of this one. Let's delete this one. Let's actually delete this. And now let's bring this. This full tab might be better. So what we're going to do is select both like that. And from here, we are going to group. And maybe that full tab might be better for us to use.
So where did you get those from? The gallery?
Yeah, from the gallery.
Gallery essentials, or?
No, actually, what I did actually typed into the search full tab. But we'll talk about the gallery after lunch. We talked about the gallery after lunch. Now with the pens, different pens, right? Pull up a map, show them the journey, someone, their ways across, across the country. Again, it all depends on what your lesson is. Again, can you erase this? You can't, because it was used with the pen tool. Create your shapes. You can just shape creation. Can you erase these? No. You can't erase.
Everybody out.
Your line tool, so not unless you draw it, can you erase anything. So line tools, again, you can, instead of, they're trying to do a straight line, or if you're trying to point to something, maybe doing parts of a cell, right, just kind of get your picture up and just start randomly pointing to different parts. So finding the photo online. You've got a gallery here, and we'll talk a little more about the gallery after lunch. In the gallery, there's tons of pictures, tons of multimedia stuff. But if there's an image you'd rather use, go on the web. Go on the web and save an image. Bring an image in. One thing when I was teaching parts of a cell to my students was they would see the one that's in their textbook, but I'd always bring up ones that were online, right? Because they are accustomed to memorizing the parts in the order that they appear in the textbook. And then when they see on the test, on a quiz, they'll give them a whole different picture. And they're like, oh, what am I going to do? So, yeah, so use that as a tool. But now let's compare it and maybe bring both images, the one from the textbook with the one that's online. And say, now, here's a real life cell. Now let's start to label it. What parts do we know? What are really distinct? Let's see. So these are features. The font. Right, that's if you're wanting to type anything. So you click on the letter A, and here is where you'll be able to type whatever you want. But remember, as I showed you, you don't have to worry about typing out word problems if they're already online. Use the camera tool to take a photo. That's a lot quicker than you typing something. And there's nothing wrong with doing that. If the tool is there for us to utilize that, why not use it? And what's great about it, if you're going online to find a resource and you're using the camera tool, where's that photo bringing you to? It's sending you straight to Notebook. So the minute you find a photo, it's sending you already straight to Notebook. So here we have, let's say the worksheet. Right? We take a photo of that. We want to create a Notebook lesson. We don't even have to open up Notebook. The minute we get the camera out, we take the snapshot, it automatically starts to put it onto a page in Notebook. So I don't even have to worry about opening up Notebook. I've got Notebook open now. But what if I'm at home and I'm creating a lesson, and then I take my first snapshot of something? It'll open up Notebook right away. And I actually use the camera tool. I'm in charge of the Marks program at the secondary level. So if I'm showing a snapshot of a teacher's class, show them that this is what I'm seeing on my end of the program, and I'm showing it, I'll be using that to take a screenshot. And I can literally, that screenshot, even though it automatically gets posted into Smartboard, as we did with that, you can always take that and put it into a Word document. So why not give that a, you can take those images and put it into a Word document and now assign it. Right, so let's actually, let me just show you that. So let's take that image. So we're going to take this picture here. So right now, it's going to take a picture. Turn off. Oh, there we go. Right, so what I'm going to do now, it's automatically thrown into Smart Notebook. But right now, technically, it is now in the clipboard of this computer right now. So what I can do is I'm going to go to Microsoft Office. Open Word. And open up Word, and now I'm going to actually paste this image into my Word document. So now I'm going to be creating the worksheet. So here now I can actually use it to create worksheets as well. And so Word's going to open up. Show you it's done.
You could do vice versa, where if you make a worksheet, create a worksheet on Word for whatever reason, you can take a snapshot
of that. Exactly, instead of doing it, copy and pasting the text that way, yeah?
Yeah. Or do the transparent document.
Or, yeah, one or the other. So here we are now. Waiting for Word to open. Word on my Mac will open. So, and again, this look at how quick it is to put together, and I get resources from different websites. So so here we've got our Word document. Smartboard. So here's my cursor, but I'm going to go. I want to right click because that's the only place where the paste is. So I'm going to right click. Right click. There we go. Paste. There's the document. There's the.
So how do you know which one you're...
It's whatever I just last did.
Oh, it's the last.
It's the last one I did. So the minute I took the snapshot, one copy is going now to Smart Notebook automatically, and then now if I want, I can build a worksheet from that. So now everyone is going to have that question that we're posting up on the Smartboard. One of my students is going to be answering it in front of everyone. He's going to have it on display. I'm not going to be the one answering it. I want them doing it. But everyone is going to be able to work on the same question because I'm going to have a worksheet circulating to every student on that same question.
So what if you had a different photo that you wanted to put into Word?
So if I had a different one,
Yeah, not the last one.
so well, I'd have to go in one at a time kind of thing. So I'd have my worksheet going. So I go in here, let's find another one down here. Okay, so we've been using the same one. And let's go to, and this happens to have an answer key, by the way. So we take that, and what we're going to do, let's get the camera back out. Slow.
Yeah, what if it's something that you've already taken last week?
Oh, if you take it last week,
Use it again.
you need to you need to find it. So if you've got it, let's say in Smartboard, let's go to Smartboard here. Smartboard. So let's say this is the one that we wanted, right? So if I take that, if I copy that, right? So I've got this image. I go now to my Word document. Underneath here, I'm going to right click on a computer on here, and I'm going to paste it, and I just paste it. My next one here. So I've got that one, and it happens to be the same because I happen to have copied the same one. Yeah.
So what are you saying? You could make a Word document and then how do you bring it into Smartboard?
Oh, so let's say but now let's say I've created a Word document. So I typed all this out. I've got a Word document. So now from here, if I want, I can now take the snapshot from my Word document. When I take a snapshot from my Word document, it is now appearing automatically here. And you can tell it's the Word document. It's the bottom bar that I got from my Word that happened to be in the snapshot.
Is that the only way that you can take the Word document and put it on?
No, if it was all text,
Yeah.
if it was all text, you just highlight all the text, copy it, and just paste it
Okay.
as you normally would. And it'd just be text that would appear.
So you just open up a note on this slide.
Exactly. So let me get one open. Let me get a Word document out. So I'll do a test if I'm posting this online. I don't want to get a Word document here. So I've got a worksheet now that's hopefully going to open up. And then from there, if I wanted to paste text, right? So if I wanted to paste text, I just kind of copy it, copy the text, and then paste it. And there's the text.
So now, can you do the same thing you did before, isolate each word and make them separate, or no?
No, because now it's
It's handwritten.
yeah. So now I can make adjustments within here, but it's all as one big. But now here's my worksheet, right? And now I can turn this into the fill in the blanks right on. And students can kind of come up and give their answers on here. Because instead of taking it up in order, this is what typically is done. It's kind of like, okay, orally, let's just kind of, let's take this up, right? They're not getting a visual, right? If I've got the answer key and I'm just reading out the answers, here, display it. Let's take it up here. By allowing yourself to like, one of the things that I've been fortunate enough with in videos and what we try to get teachers to do is, if they have at all times the ability to let them feel confident to flip the classroom, right, where the students are kind of learning the content kind of on their own, and you're facilitating the discussion, you're coming back. So you're not spending, let's say, the half hour to explain something. They're learning it on their own. Now you could spend maybe 10, 15 minutes kind of addressing it. Right? When I was absent, I would have my videos. I had to get my video for the supply. Supply would find a television, put the TV up, and I'd have one student who would pause it at any one time to kind of make sure that they got the info that they needed. And it's worked with all levels of students when they were doing it that way. And what was great was, when I came back, I wasn't reteaching it, I was just reviewing it, because the students had already gone through that lesson. They didn't go through it with me physically. They orally heard me, and they saw the stuff that was appearing on the screen, let's say. But when I came back, typically, if I was just leaving a worksheet and I had them just read on their own, I knew the students weren't reading on their own. But if I knew that a video was actually being played and students were actually, they had the notes and they were taking, they were to fill in the blanks. Because as you see, right, here are this lesson here that I just copied and pasted, right, is a typical my typical notes that I have online for students to download. So notice here, like, instead of typically typing all this, I felt that this was the one thing that was really important that I wanted them to carry with them. Right? This whole thing wasn't necessary. It's like, well, some of the key terms that I want my students to address to my students, and that's what they would actually they would remember that more than if they were just writing randomly. And there were times where I had the same sentence written out twice, didn't notice it, but I never changed it because I wanted to see where students could still copying that out. And students were, and because they don't know what they're writing. They're just looking at it and going, I just need to make sure I dot every I and cross every T. Okay, I'm not worried about moving to my next slide, because the student hasn't gotten what they needed from there. Because we don't want them just writing, randomly stuff that's up on the board. Right? We want them discussing. We want them, we want to know what they know. Right? We want to find a way to simplify what that textbook says. Because if it was as easy as just giving a student a textbook, well, why don't we give them the textbook in September and say, see you in June. This is what you have to read somehow from now to the end of the year. Right? So we've got to find a way to deliver the material in a way that is engaging to the student, but at the same time it's going to cater to their different learning needs. Right? And sure, yeah, the technology is going to wow them a bit, right? Especially if they're used to a blackboard. But hey, if that's what's going to get them engaged, at first, why not? And then find a different way to kind of deliver the material, right? If you're the one writing on this board, what fun is it to that student? Get them up here. Right? And I would get them at the beginning of the year just to practice writing on here. So I spend the first day just kind of come up here, because this is what kids are they're gonna put their elbow on here and they're gonna try to write like that. Right? Like they were typically writing on a paper. And then their elbow is doing all the markings. So you kind of, and a lot of times they're also going to be in the way of it. So they're, they try to orient themselves in front of the, and that's why the one with the projector above is great because it doesn't get in the way when you're writing. But when you've got a projector, as I've got it here, you've got to worry about, so you try to, get students to feel confident. Like even if they see their hand shadow there, just trust, that you're writing. If you know what you're writing, don't worry if you're not seeing it. Just, because you'll see it as your shadow moves away. But it's a little bit of a learning curve for them, right? And so if you get that out of the way almost at the beginning of the year, right, then let them play. Let's say that little bit at the beginning, and then let them realize just what a tool that it's going to be throughout the year when you do use it. Right? But they want to use it. They want to write on it. They want to write. They want to be able to see if their writing is going to get recognized with the text, the font recognized. So let them use it. Okay. So I'm going to break for lunch, and we are going to observe how to get the camera full, as well as playing with some of the really cool, because this is where some of the magic kind of is hiding right now with the Smartboard. Right now, I just kind of showed you how to start writing and drawing on your stuff, but I'm going to show you where the magic is when it comes to creating your own lessons. So I guess we'll reconvene back at 1. Is that okay with everyone? 45 minutes? 47 minutes? Yeah. Maybe close them just so we can kind of reserve whatever power.
Yeah.